It's hard to believe we've reached this point. Yet, as the sound of my landlord's knock echoed through the hallway, a heavy realization settled in. I was out of options. 3 months overdue on rent, no means of payment. There is no one to rely on. And then, he presented me with a proposition I ought to have declined. However, I did not. Before we dive in, I invite you to take a moment to show your support by liking and subscribing. In just a fleeting moment, you can contribute significantly to the channel's growth. Your support means the world to me, and I am genuinely grateful for it. Let us commence. The sudden knock made me flinch. My robe had fallen ajar, revealing my bare thigh, yet I was far too weary to mind. I turned the handle and pushed the door open. Mr. Donovan lingered, his gaze sweeping over me with an intensity that felt almost palpable. Measured and intentional. "Claire, you find yourself 3 months in arrears on your rent." I tightened my robe around me. "Indeed, Mr. Donovan, I simply require a bit more time." He entered the room, closing the door softly behind him. The atmosphere grew dense. His gaze lingered, filled with a sense of shame at witnessing a woman like you in distress. He whispered, his voice velvety and soft, so exquisite, yet so vulnerable. The warmth crept along my skin. I shall devise a solution." With a heavy sigh, he shook his head in disbelief. "Time alone won't settle the debts, darling. I had exhausted every possible avenue. Additional hours, taking loans, reducing expenses. Nothing sufficed. Just a little longer, please," I whispered. He observed me intently. "Alternatively. Perhaps an alternative exists?" A knot formed in my stomach. There it lay, the silent proposal, now laid bare for all to see. "Could you clarify what you mean?" "Oh, Claire, surely you understand my point." The space seemed to shrink. The fabric of my robe seemed to grow more delicate. "No one has to know," he whispered, "just between us." My heart raced as I paused, uncertainty gripping me. He wore a sly grin, observing my discomfort with keen interest. "Your troubles can vanish with my help." I released a tremulous breath. There were no options, no escape, only him. Gradually, I inclined my head in agreement. His smile grew more profound. Then, he extended his hand toward the belt of my robe. "Well done, dear." Mr. Donovan guided me into the bedroom, his hold steady yet unhurried. The atmosphere was dense, enveloping me like a heavy cloak as I crossed the threshold. The aroma of aftershave mingled with a deeper, more masculine essence, enveloping my senses in a wave of familiarity. He acted swiftly. At the brink of the bed, he unfastened his belt with a measured, intentional gesture. The gentle chime of metal resonated, sending a tremor through my very being. "You're aware of the next steps, darling." A knot tightened in my throat. I paused, my hands clenching into tight fists at my sides. His lips twisted into a blend of amusement and authority. "Do try not to look so astonished, Claire. Do you recall that you agreed?" A nervous electric warmth coiled within me, igniting a heat that curled in my stomach. I took a deep breath, then sank to my knees. His fingers wove through my hair as I leaned closer, enveloped by his warmth, his scent intoxicating. "Myself?" I pressed my lips to his, moving with deliberate care. He let out a quick breath, his fingers gripping a bit more firmly, leading me onward. The sounds he produced ignited an unforeseen exhilaration within me. It was unexpected, yet I found myself drawn to it. His breath grew deeper, his stance tightening. He was becoming enveloped in it, in me. A peculiar feeling of mastery awakened within me. Just as I discovered my flow, he suddenly withdrew. His breath came in irregular bursts. He was on the verge of losing control. "Climb atop," he urged, his voice heavy with desire. I complied, rising and positioning myself on the bed, my robe falling ajar as I settled over him. His hands instinctively sought my thighs, gliding over my skin, gripping as if he yearned to experience every inch of me. "That's it," he whispered, his gaze fixed intently on mine. I bent low, positioning myself in harmony with him. A sudden breath caught in my throat as I descended upon him. He groaned, his fingers digging into my hips. "You surpass my expectations in ways I never anticipated." I brushed aside the warmth that blossomed within me at his words. This was merely a transaction. Yet, as I began to shift, a profound wave of delight coursed through my being. My body turned against me, responding with an eager intensity, yearning for more. I bit my lip, maintaining a facade of neutrality, yet within me, a heat coiled, a slow burn unfurling with each subtle movement. "Proceed, Claire. Take me on a journey with purpose." His voice carried attention, his grip steady as he led me onward. I followed his instructions, my steps growing faster, my breath becoming erratic. Every movement ignited a fresh surge of feeling within me, blurring the lines of my pretense that I wasn't relishing this experience. He wore a smirk, gazing up at me as though he could pierce through the facade I had put on. "Do you find this appealing?" he whispered softly. "No," I deceived, my breath catching as I quickened my pace. His grip tightened, his body rising to meet mine in a seamless dance, the tension between us deepening, becoming more profound and weighty. I tightened my jaw, striving to suppress any sound that could reveal my true feelings. "Keep going," he growled, his grip on control faltering, his gaze locked onto mine, absorbing every movement, every silent response. I sank my nails into his chest, clinging tightly as waves of pleasure surged within me, on the brink of overflowing. His breath caught in his throat, his body coiling with tension beneath me. With one last tremor, he breathed out, his hands gripping me firmly as he reached the height of his ecstasy. I trailed behind moments later, my body quaking from the sheer intensity. Yet I stifled my moans, maintaining an inscrutable expression as I fell against him, my body still resonating with sensation. For a fleeting moment, we simply reclined, our breaths deep and labored, skin glistening with warmth and moisture. Gently, I shifted away from him, perching at the edge of the bed. Silence enveloped me, words were unnecessary. Yet, beneath the surface, I was aware of the reality. Every moment was a delight to me. And thus, he did as well. I perched at the edge of the bed, wrapping my robe around me, though it offered scant protection from what had already been revealed. My skin remained alive with sensation, my breath still wavering. His gaze lingered on me, observing, anticipating. "You caught me off guard, Claire." His voice flowed effortlessly, laced with amusement. "I was surprised to see you having such a good time." A warmth danced within my belly. I chose to overlook it. "It was merely a transaction," I whispered. He let out a soft chuckle. "Of course, if that is the conviction you choose to hold." The silence lingered, an expanse of unspoken words hanging in the air between us. I ought to have experienced a sense of shame. Yet, I refrained. Not completely. A fragment of my being had found pleasure in it, more than I was willing to confess. "I present to you yet another proposition." My eyes flickered toward him. "Could you clarify what you mean?" He reclined against the headboard, his shirt left undone, an inscrutable look on his face. "This brought you pleasure." "I am aware that you did. There are indeed men who would gladly part with their riches for a woman of your caliber." I tensed up. "Surely, you jest." "Absolutely not." He observed me intently. "You mentioned that you find yourself without alternatives. Yet, there is no obligation for you to be. This could be transformed into a profitable venture." My breath caught in my throat. "That stands apart." This moment was simply, I paused, for the words eluded me. "What exactly?" His smirk grew more pronounced. "Could I ask for a small favor?" Merely for amusement? I averted my gaze, thoughts swirling in a tempest within me. I ought to have felt revulsion. Yet, I found myself in disagreement, for he was indeed correct. I found pleasure in it. Now, the idea of embarking on that journey once more, of feeling desired, of wielding power, of crafting something from the void, no longer felt unattainable. "It's your choice," he remarked, rising to his feet as he fastened his shirt. "You're not obligated to agree, but should you choose to, I happen to know two gentlemen who would be quite willing to compensate generously for an evening in your company." A shiver coursed through my being. Not merely one, but two. I took a deep breath. What should have been a simple refusal turned out to be anything but. "What is the cost?" His smirk grew broader, surpassing anything you've ever earned in a single evening. I released my breath gradually, feeling my heartbeat thrum in my ears. On a fateful night, two men stand at a crossroads, faced with a decision that holds the power to alter their destinies forever. I raised my chin and gave a subtle nod. "Very well." Mr. Donovan smiled, extending his hand toward his phone. "Well done, my dear. I shall place the call." The following evening, I found myself before the mirror, carefully adjusting my dress as it cascaded over my hips. Form-fitting, daringly cut, teasingly suggestive. Mr. Donovan had chosen it himself, paired with heels that elongated my legs in a way I had not recalled before. I hardly recognized the person staring back at me. My hands quivered ever so slightly as I rearranged my hair. What was it that made me feel so anxious? My decision was already set in stone. The point of no return had been reached. "You look perfect," Mr. Donovan murmured from the doorway. His gaze lingered on me, deliberate and appreciative. "They will adore you," I gulped, releasing a breath through my nostrils. "Who might they be?" "Companions? Those who are generous." He wore a sly grin. "You bid them good night, Claire, and the weight of rent will no longer haunt you," when suddenly, there's a knock at the door. My breath was momentarily suspended. They had arrived. Mr. Donovan's smirk grew more pronounced. "It's time to shine, darling." I pivoted toward the door, my heart racing as I extended my hand toward the handle. At that moment, I lifted the cover. Two men loomed before me, their eyes shadowed, faces inscrutable, and their presence was unmistakably directed at me. I guided them into the room, my heart racing, every step heavy with expectation. The sound of my heels echoed gently on the floor, the atmosphere thick with an unarticulated tension. They trailed behind, their presence enveloping me, two pairs of eyes, two men whose focus was entirely on me. I had consented to this arrangement. This was my desire. Yet, deep within, a tension coiled, a glimmer of doubt, a surge of exhilaration. The taller figure, with broad shoulders and an air of confidence in his demeanor, was the first to extend his hand towards me. His hand settled at my waist, steady and intentional, his fingertips grazing softly, as if etching every contour into his mind. The other, more slender, with keen eyes and a silent demeanor, hovered just behind me, his breath brushing against my shoulder, sending an unforeseen shiver coursing down my spine. "Let us attend to this," the first whispered, his fingers gliding over the strap of my dress, playfully tugging at the fabric as he locked eyes with me. Gradually, the layers unraveled, the fabric cascading down effortlessly. Fingers glided, discovering, understanding, cherishing, while the refreshing breeze caressed my skin. I extended my hand, my fingers gliding over the taut contours hidden beneath their garments, gauging their reaction with each delicate caress. Their gaze remained fixed upon me, observing, anticipating. A gentle breath escaped from my lips. Not a moment of doubt lingered. I aimed to provide them with precisely what they had been anticipating. I proceeded with deliberate care, my fingers deftly navigating the fastenings of their belts, unfastening each one slowly, sensing the tautness that lay hidden beneath the fabric separating us. Their breaths grew deeper, muscles undulating beneath my fingers as I ventured forth, warmth emanating from their skin against my touch. A soft sound emerged from the first man, a resonant note of gratitude, as he gently tilted my chin upward. He met my gaze, his expression a mystery that defied interpretation. In that moment, he whispered, his tones silky, laced with an undercurrent of something more sinister. A well-known warmth coiled within me, a sensation that was both thrilling and perilous in the manner of their gaze upon me. Knees bent, movements measured, I descended, fingers still entwined with them both, warmth enveloping my skin. One lingered close to my lips, a wordless beckoning, poised for my choice. I leaned closer, embracing him, savoring the warmth, outlining his form with intentional precision. Above me, he drew in a breath, his fingers threading through my hair, steering me with the gentlest caress. The second man lingered in my thoughts, my other hand engaged with equal fervor, playfully coaxing forth each response, savoring the nuances of his reactions. His breath caught, fingers grazing the contour of my jaw as he examined me, lost in each fleeting second. Their shared presence, the subtle sounds they emitted, the tension coiling in the air between us, it ignited a gradual, profound warmth unfurling within my core. "That's it," one of them whispered, his voice laden, rich with contentment, "just like that." The words coursed through me once more, granting me the freedom to proceed at my own rhythm, allowing me to delve deep, to become enveloped in their essence. Then, one of them leaned back a fraction, clearing his throat as if to reclaim his concentration. "Come here," he said, his voice low and steady. "The journey has only just begun." I sank into the mattress, my breath coming in fits, my body alive with expectation. The taller figure settled between my legs, his fingertips tracing languid, intentional circles along my inner thighs, teasing, amplifying the tension in the air. The other shifted closer, his hand gently grasping my chin, tilting my face toward him, his gaze capturing mine with a profound intensity. "Let us discover the depths of your sweetness." The initial whisper escaped his lips, rich and resonant, tinged with a hint of mirth. He descended slowly, his breath a warm caress against my skin, and as the first spark of sensation coursed through me, a shudder rippled down my spine. A sudden breath hitched in my throat as his lips roamed over me, his touch measured, unhurried, intentional. My fingers curled against the sheets, clenching them tightly, as each movement sent a fresh wave of sensation coursing through me. The second man drew closer, his mouth grazing mine before the kiss intensified, our lips melding together. I embraced him, allowing his warmth to envelop me, silencing the sounds that emerged from my throat as pleasure surged between us. They moved in flawless harmony, one captivating me with his lips, while the other pulled me further into the embrace, his fingers weaving through my hair, holding me near. "She's incredible," one of them murmured, his voice tinged with awe. I ought to have felt a twinge of anxiety, I ought to have paused, yet I did not. My desire was palpable, and they recognized it. They maneuvered me with grace, directing my movements, adjusting my stance as though they possessed an innate understanding of my desires. There I was, on all fours, my body quivering, still alive with the echoes of their touch. The second man, the one who had been observing, biding his time with unwavering patience, finally stepped behind me, his hands firm on my waist, anchoring me in the moment. "Are you prepared for what comes next?" he inquired, his tone hushed, yet filled with understanding. Before I could even gather my thoughts, he advanced, a deliberate, steady force that unleashed a profound, persistent warmth coursing through my being. My breath caught in my throat, fingers gripping the sheets as my body acclimated to his presence. He let out a soft groan, his hold on me firm, his movements steady and intentional, as though he were relishing each second. The initial figure stepped closer, his fingertips brushing against my jawline, gently urging my eyes to meet his. "Let me feel you," he whispered. I opened my lips, inviting him in, the warmth of his body pressed against me, the steady cadence of his breath intertwining with my own. In that moment, he whispered softly, his thumb gliding over my cheek, his fingers weaving through my hair. They flowed as one, each leading me with purpose, their movements intertwining, one anchoring my body in place, while the other drew my gaze unwaveringly toward him. A soft moan slipped from my lips, the sound causing the man before me to draw in a sharp breath, his fingers tightening against my skin. Behind me, the second man shifted, his movements becoming fluid, eliciting another gasp from me as warmth pooled deep within my core. "Do you not find joy in this?" One of them whispered, his tone playful, filled with understanding. I let out a soft whimper, my body revealing its secrets, the truth unmistakable in each movement, each sound. I truly cherished every moment of it. They were not yet done. They lifted me once more, shifting me effortlessly into a new position, directing me precisely to where they desired. At that moment, I found myself positioned above the first man, his hands gripping my hips with a steady assurance, anchoring me in place. Our eyes locked, and a subtle hint of satisfaction danced upon his lips. "Let me see how much you desire this," he murmured, his grip tightening just enough to steady me. A gentle exhale slipped from my lips as I descended onto him, a profound warmth unfurling within me, the sensation of stretching eliciting another shiver along my spine. His head reclined against the pillows, a soft groan escaping his lips as I shifted closer to him. Yet, lingering behind me, the second man was far from finished. I sensed his presence first through a gentle caress, a teasing exploration, his fingers tracing the delicate curve of my back, poised in anticipation of my response. A quick breath escaped my lips, a wave of anticipation swirling in my stomach, where a flicker of hesitation clashed with a more profound desire. He leaned in closer, his breath warm against my ear. "Take your time," he murmured, "I'll guide you through it." I released a breath, my body tightening, shifting, a gradual embrace of acceptance as he moved closer. The tension between us grew, the moment elongating, our bodies melding in flawless harmony. "That's it," one of them sighed, "just like that." Uncertainty clouded my mind as I struggled to identify the voice that broke through the haze. I was utterly consumed, swept away by the rhythm of our movements, the warmth of their touch, the gentle whisper of their breath, and the synchrony of our bodies entwined in this moment. They moved in harmony, one anchoring my hips while the other drew nearer, their actions deliberate and measured. The pressure escalated gradually, radiating through me in ripples, my breath quickening as the feeling wound itself tighter and tighter. "You're incredible," one of them murmured, his voice laced with reverence, imbued with a raw intensity. "Behold her," the other murmured, his fingers gliding along my spine, sending shivers through me, utterly entranced by the sensation. I found myself unable to restrain the surge within me any longer. The tension had reached its zenith, a profound pull that unraveled my very essence. Warmth cascaded through my body in undulating waves, and then came a sharp inhale from below, his fingers digging into my skin, his body tightening as his rhythm wavered. A low groan escaped him, his grip anchoring me as he surrendered, following suit in that moment of release. The moment lingered, suspended in a breathless infinity, before dissolving into a gentle warmth. The room embraced a profound stillness, with the sole sound being the gentle ebb and flow of our breaths. Ultimately, I found myself surprised by the enjoyment it brought me. I never anticipated a desire for more, yet now, it occupies my thoughts incessantly. So, I ask you, was I mistaken, or was this precisely what I required? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you crave more tales of this nature, be sure to show your appreciation and subscribe for more adventures ahead. Until we meet again.